Hey guys, it's PhilosopherKing, and I'm testing out a new team, and it's built around the poke you see in front of you here, Suicune. And as you can see, it's not just any Coon, it's an offensive Coon. It runs Hydro Pump, Calm Mind, Ice Beam, HP Electric, and it hits like a truck. T-Tur goes down in one hit on turn 1, and I'm a happy camper. My opponent answers with Celebi, but the damage is done, as you can see. Ice Beam would probably do around 35-40%, but my opponent has Leech Seed or Recover, so this Suicune doesn't like that, especially since it doesn't have much HP thanks to the EV distribution I put on it. It runs Max Speed, Max Special Attack. Max Speed is there to speed tie with Heracross. That runs an Adamant Nature at 269, and the Special Attack there is just to do a lot of damage because I couldn't possibly think of why I would need the HP or defensive investment given the Coon set and given what Coon is meant to counter. But yeah, this didn't take so long. I do switch here, and I go to my Regice. My opponent goes for Calm Mind, which is fine. I have Psych Up, but she does not want to take an Ice Beam even at +1/+1, and maybe knows that this Regice runs Psych Up, so she goes to Metagross. And I quickly go back to my Suicune. I get hit by HP Electric or Grass, probably Grass. I get hit again as I go for Hydro Pump, and the Metagross will die if she stays in here with it. She knows that, goes to Celebi. Hydro Pump connects with 23%. I don't feel comfortable staying in here, so I'm going to go back to my Regice. And yeah, it goes for Giga Drain, so my intuition there was correct. Giga Drain probably would have either killed or put me in the red, and Ice Beam damage probably would have been negated thanks to Giga Drain's health recovering ability. But yeah, I go for Ice Beam, Metagross comes in. I go to Claydol here, which is an unusual switch, but I was afraid the Metagross might explode on the Coon, so Claydol would have been the ideal target for that explosion. Go for Earthquake, my opponent goes to Gengar, which we haven't seen. Go to my T-Tar, which runs Pursuit, which would have been nice against the Gengar, but I get put to sleep by Hypnosis. So yeah, I go to Regice, and my opponent switches to Metagross, knowing I'm going to do that. I go back to my Coon. My opponent goes for Meteor Mash, gets an attack raise, but the damage count from the last Hydro Pump would be enough to where I would kill the Metagross if it's consistent, so she switches, goes back to Celebi. I go for Hydro Pump, and Celebi's at 62%. I'm not going to stay in here because I'll die, so I go to my Regice. And I gotta be careful about bringing Coon in because it will die from a switch in. So yeah, I go to my Dugtrio here, which was pretty risky, and I wasn't expecting the Magneton, but works for me. My real goal was to get the Metagross to come in because that's what it's been doing against the Regice. So I thought the risk was worth it because I didn't think Celebi would use Giga Drain against Regice and stay in there. So I thought the switch was justified, and it worked out. Coon dies a couple turns later from a +1/+1 Salamence after it uses Dragon Dance. I bring my Claydol in to answer afterward. Now this Claydol does not have Ice Beam like most do. It has Explosion, Psychic, Earthquake, Rapid Spin. Explosion works nice in tandem with Dugtrio, and it helps get rid of pokes I don't want, like this Salamence for instance. Now, she could switch to Metagross, and my Explosion would not kill the Metagross probably, but even if it doesn't, I have Dugtrio to revenge kill, so Explosion is the way to go. I could go for Psychic or something, but it won't do a whole lot, and at +1/+1 the Salamence would do a whole lot with HP Fly, so Explosion is the way to go here. If I'm lucky, she'll stay in here and take the Explosion, but she switches out, goes to Metagross like I said. And now the only thing left to do is to bring Dugtrio in to revenge kill. So it should be a 4-3 game in one turn. So yeah, on the other hand, me using Earthquake on the Metagross to take it out will allow my opponent to bring Salamence in once again and go for Dragon Dance like it was before at +1/+1. So I might just be back where I started, just with one poke less. So I'll bring my Celebi in, and I'm going to go for Reflect. This Celebi is meant to sort of support my Suicune hence the reason why I have Reflect, but Suicune's not there, so it's pretty much a one-man show. I go for Psychic, I do 40% with it. My opponent goes for a second Dragon Dance, so it's at +2/+2. And even with Reflect, I'm not sure that the Regice will survive a Rock Slide, and my opponent could just stay in and go for another Dragon Dance, but she doesn't get greedy and takes out my Celebi. And I do live the Rock Slide, and I don't get a flinch, so Ice Beam takes out the Salamence. So I'm in good shape. Gengar and Celebi are all that are left on my opponent's team, whereas I have this injured Regice will probably die to Gengar next turn unless she goes for Hypnosis and misses. And I have Dugtrio and Tyranitar, which is asleep. So I gotta wake up with this Tyranitar if I'm gonna win this. Giga Drain connects, I'm asleep because T-Tar likes to nap. Goes for Giga Drain again. I do wake up to go for Pursuit. I do 67%. Even if Giga Drain connects here, I will be able to take it out with Pursuit, even if it recovers health. And so the move for my opponent was to use Hypnosis, but she didn't use that, and that allowed me to take out the Gengar. My opponent goes for Giga Drain, takes out my T-Tar next turn, so it's all down to Dougie to win this. I'm at full health. I don't know if I'm going to live Giga Drain. I do, so yeah, I'm going to win this. Nice. I thought it was a more offensive variant of Celebi, because that's what most Celebi that's what most Celebi are that run Giga Drain. But because it's not, my Dugtrio, thanks to its special defense investment, was able to live the Giga Drain and take out the Celebi. So yeah, that was a close one. And I mean, this is one of the first games I used my offensive Coon team, and you know, even though I didn't get to use offensive Coon a lot, you know, I think it did some good damage. If the T-Tar didn't die, on turn 1, I don't know where I would be, you know what I mean? Yeah, you do. So, rate, comment, subscribe, and look forward to the next battle.